So Formula 1 has its new livery reveal event that's happening this week at the O2 Arena in London. And ahead of this, I wanted to look at some of the best and some of the worst liveries in the history of Formula 1. Now, these cars might well have been fast, they might well have got on the podium quite a few times, but in terms of a pure looks point of view, this ain't it, Chief. These are the 5 worst liveries, in my opinion, in Formula 1 history. Definitely 5 of the worst, and I hope you guys will agree. So let's get into this list because there are some absolute horror shows on offer here. And let's start with the Honda RA107. Now, I get the message behind this. It was basically meant to look like Planet Earth for Earth Day, to try and get some environmental good stuff happening, basically, for a very non-technical way to look at it. This was basically known as the Earth car, and it was an absolute shocker, both in terms of how it looked and also how it performed out on the track. I believe this was the 2007 Honda, and this was one of Honda's worst seasons in Formula 1. Honda in 2006 managed to get their first win back in the sport, their first win since the McLaren days with Jenson Button at the Hungarian Grand Prix in terrific style. And it was hoped that in 2007 they could have built upon this, potentially got in the way of a title challenge. But as it was, they absolutely regressed. It was a terrible season for them. Jenson Button and Rubens Barrichello just could not get the best out of this car, probably because the car was not good to start with, really. Their best result was 5th place at the Chinese Grand Prix, and that's as good as it got. In the days when only the top 8 scored points, this did not score many points, and yeah, it looked ridiculous, and it also was terrible out on track too. Likewise as well, number 4 on this list, the McLaren MP430. The 2015 livery at the start of the season was an absolute shocker in my opinion, and not only in terms of the performance of the car but also how it looked as well. McLaren was kind of in a transitional phase between the start of 2015 and obviously going towards the end of the season, because they didn't stick with this livery for very long. In fact, it was kind of branded as a very unlucky livery because their partnership with Honda for 2015 upon their return got off to the worst of starts. Their car was incredibly slow and also horrifically unreliable as well. For whatever reason, that Honda engine did not perform in that McLaren, and in terms of the overall performance of the car as well, it was not good either. Despite having again, Jenson Button had to drive this one, and he's driven some awful looking cars over the years, but despite having 2 of the most experienced drivers in Grand Prix history, 2 world champions in the form of Button and Fernando Alonso, they couldn't do anything with this car really. I think its best performance was around a 6th place or something like that. It just led to overheating constantly because of the size 0 approach they had to the car as well. And yeah, basically they had all the black on the side, which again, they went all black for the remainder of the season after a while, but they also had the chrome on top as well, and it's just a bad combination. 2014 they didn't have a particularly great livery either. It was mainly chrome, departing from the old Vodafone days, but with some black on there as well. But the black and chrome on this just did not look particularly good. It looked bad, and it also performed bad too. Probably not as bad as the Hispania either. The HRT, the Hispania F111 for 2011, their 2nd season in the sport. It just looked horrific. I mean, I think it had the famous "this could be you" and "this cool spot" and "your logo here" and stuff like that, because they couldn't get enough sponsors on the thing to actually run it effectively. It was a backmarker, the HRT, for its entire short existence in Formula 1 between 2010 and 2012. They were hoping they were going to become a new superpower of Formula 1, and a Spanish national team in Formula 1. They based themselves out in Spain as well, which was a disastrous decision to go outside of Motorsport Valley. It was a terrible decision on their point, but yeah, the overall look of the car just looked cheap. It just didn't look particularly good. It did give the debut to Daniel Ricciardo, which was something. I suppose that's the most notable thing it's probably known for, but it was pointless in every sense of the word. Never troubled the top 10, and yeah, it looked ridiculous. I mean, having something that says "cool spot" on the side, that is just terrible. But let's go for Arrows next. Arrows, obviously a fairly decent team back in the day, but never managing to get a win in Formula 1. The Arrows A20 towards the end of their days, it was a weird half and half car. It looked terrible. I think this was the 1998 car, and it just looked bad. Not the one really. It really was not. John Barnard left the team. It performed really poorly. I don't don't think it even got any points during those seasons. It was actually Jos Verstappen, one of the drivers for this, Pedro de la Rosa as well, Toro Takagi. The less said about him, the better. But yeah, despite some relatively decent drivers in the form of de la Rosa and Verstappen, it was a terrible car, and it looked rubbish as well. It really looked bad. Half and half designs are always a terrible idea, and that is definitely the case for BAR as well. Their first season in 1999, where they actually wanted to run 2 different liveries on the 2 different cars, one for the 555 brand and the other one for the Lucky Strike brand. Don't look up what those brands are. They are very naughty brands that would no longer be allowed in motorsport, of course, or any kind of promotional advertising, because that kind of advertising is banned these days. Now, I will admit some of the Lucky Strike liveries in Formula 1 actually look pretty good on these cars later on. I have to admit they're quite iconic. I do think they look pretty good. However, this one in 1999 for BAR's first year, the year when Jacques Villeneuve joined the team, and again, this car was terrible. It retired so often. I think they hold the record for the most number of retirements in a season, or consecutive retirements in a season, which is really saying something, because it's not that long ago really when you think about it. The cars in general were more reliable in the 90s than they were in the 80s, but this one was terrible. It was an awful car. But yeah, they tried to actually run 2 different liveries, the 2 different cars, but the FIA and Formula 1 said, no, you can't do that. You have to have the same livery for both of your cars. So they said, all right, fine, we'll put them both on the same car. And as kind of a prelude to the Gene Zipper thing, which almost made this list from RB last season in 2024, their customary Singapore livery that they had for that one race. This was kind of a prelude to it, because I didn't realize it actually has a zipper running down the inside of it, and one side it's Stripe and the other side it has 555. So yeah, looks pretty terrible, I will admit. Zonta and Villeneuve looks ridiculous, and they also are very slow as well. But if you want to get some more information on these liveries, we do have a full article over on the F1Chronicle.com as always. The link will be in the description if you're on YouTube. If you're on one of the other platforms such as Microsoft, it will be on the website, so go and head over there. But yeah, what is your worst livery of all time in Formula 1? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What's your choice? I mean, like I said, for me, just for how ridiculous that dual livery looks for the BAR Honda in 1999, that for me is the worst. It's gotta be. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What's your choice? And yeah, I don't think any of these liveries in 2025 will hopefully be troubling this list, but we'll see what happens later today. I'm sure this event at London will be very fun and very entertaining to watch. But yeah, I've also got a video that will be going up around the same time as this one, going over everything you need to know about the livery reveal at London as well. So yeah, go check that out if you've not already. Like, share, comment, subscribe to see much more content like this. And if you really want to support the channel, do head over to Patreon as well and become a patron. I really would appreciate your support. You get some exclusive member benefits on there as always. But yeah, see you soon, guys. Have a great day. Have a great week.